I think a very important element of growing a practice is to make sure that there's structure. And this is such an important element of growing a practice, and yet very little structure is created around converting leads. And if you don't have a structure around how to convert these leads, what happens is it ends up costing professionals several thousands of dollars every year. And I see it all the time. And it's such a simple fix. And yet many professionals are missing this step. I'm Sylvie Garibaldi, founder and CEO of a well-established marketing training and done-for-you services company, tailored specifically for the modern legal and financial professional worldwide. While it's taken some trial and error to figure out which methods get the best results for professionals who are looking to grow their practices, fast forward to today, my team and I have nailed down and perfected a process that has helped so many of our clients consistently achieve outstanding results and create a legacy for their practices. I created the Serve First, Sell Later marketing podcast to give you simple, actionable, non-salesy, and results-driven marketing to grow your legal or financial practice like so many of our clients have. If you're a lawyer, mediator, financial, or divorce professional who is looking to become highly visible and wants to create a practice that makes an impact, then you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 36 of the Serve First, Sell Later marketing podcast. So how do we master client engagement and really use follow-up techniques so that it converts into clients? And I think this is such an important topic and one that can significantly impact your success in the legal and financial fields. And so as professionals, you know that engaging with potential clients and following up effectively can make or break your practice. So, in this episode, we'll explore why client engagement is so important and share some actionable strategies to help you maintain that engagement and ultimately convert those leads into loyal clients. But first, I want to take a moment to understand why client engagement and follow up are so essential in your field. And so I think when dealing with legal, mediation, or financial matters, your clients are often facing significant life changes and challenges. And so they're looking for someone that they can trust, someone who understands their situation and can guide them through the legal, financial, and emotional complexities that they're facing. So that's why building and maintaining engagement with potential clients is not just about business. It's about showing empathy, it's about building trust, and it's about providing value from the very first interaction. So, effective follow up ensures that you stay top of mind and really demonstrates your commitment to helping them navigate their journey, right? So, we'll provide insights and techniques that are directly applicable to your practice, helping you to better connect with potential clients and convert those connections into lasting professional relationships. So, my hope is that by the end of this episode, you're going to have a toolkit of strategies to really help you build stronger connections with potential clients and turn those leads into loyal, satisfied clients. So, let's dive in. So, the first place I want to talk about, or I want to dive into deeper, is what do I mean by client engagement? Simply said, client engagement is all about creating a meaningful connection with your potential clients. So it's not just about making contact, it's about building a relationship. And I want you to imagine that you are at a party or an industry event. And so you don't just want to introduce yourself and then walk away from someone that you're meeting for the first time. You want to have a conversation. You want to find common ground and you want to make a lasting impression, right? I mean, that's the process most of us follow. And that's what client engagement is all about. So, why is it so crucial for converting leads is the question. And I think you need to look at it from the client's perspective. So when someone is looking for maybe a divorce lawyer or a family lawyer, estate planning or a mediator, whatever the case may be, they're often in a vulnerable and stressful situation. So they're not just looking for a service, they're looking for someone that they can trust. So engaging with them effectively helps build that trust. And it shows that you care about their needs and that you're committed to helping them through these challenges. So engagement impacts client trust and decision making in a huge way. So for example, if a potential client reaches out to you and you respond, promptly and thoughtfully, they're more likely to feel valued and understood. And this positive interaction can make them more inclined to choose you over someone who might take days to respond or just offers a very generic reply. So think about that. Think about the situations you've been in. And when one service provider responds to you and then the other one takes a while, it leaves an impression on you, leaves a lasting impression. So that's what you need to think about as well when you are in the initial stages of working with a potential client. And I think it's also about making them feel seen and heard right from the start. So, in terms of the different channels that you can use for client engagement, I always say keep it simple. So, there are many ways to connect with potential clients. And so, here are some of the key ways that are the most simplest, I think, to really create that conversation. And the first is email. And this is a great way to provide detailed information, especially when you need to provide them with more information and to give them follow up on their initial inquiries. So, for instance, after an initial consultation, you can send them a personalized email summarizing your discussion and outlining your next steps. And this shows that you're paying attention and that you're being proactive in your approach. And this is something we do in our business all the time. The second is social media. So, platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, they can be powerful tools for engagement. And I think sharing valuable content, such as blog posts or videos about common legal and financial issues, can really position you as an expert in your field. So, for example, maybe a short video explaining the basics of estate planning can attract potential clients who are just starting to think about their future, right? The third is phone calls. Don't forget the phone. That really adds a personal touch. And I think a quick phone call to check in or to follow up can really make a huge difference. So, once again, imagine a potential client reaching out for a consultation and you call them back the same day to schedule a meeting. This immediate response can really set you apart from your competitors. And I think that's important to do, is to respond and to use the telephone when you can. The fourth is in-person meetings. So when possible, face-to-face meetings can be incredibly effective. And that just allows for a deeper connection and a better understanding of your client's needs. So think about doing that as well. So I think choosing the right channel based on client preferences is key. So some clients might prefer the convenience of email, while others might appreciate the personal touch of a phone call or an in-person meeting. And I think it's important to ask your clients how they prefer to communicate and tailor your approach accordingly. So, for instance, during your initial consultation, you could ask something like, do you prefer that I communicate with you via email, phone, or in person meetings? Let them tell you. Let them tell you, because that is going to be the channel that they're going to respond the quickest with. So always use the channel that you know that they prefer. So once again, that simple question really just helps you engage them in ways that's more comfortable and respectful. And another thing I like to always do is ask if they're comfortable with you following up. So I ask permission to follow up with them, and you could ask them, when's the best time to follow up, or is it okay to follow up with you? So really important. It's always permission based. And if you're interested in mastering the art of follow-ups, then you need to check out episode number 26 of the podcast, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And I go into a lot more detail about how to do follow-ups that are successful. So understanding and leveraging client engagement is all about building trust and showing that you care. And I think by choosing the right channels, as I've mentioned, and being responsive and thoughtful in your interactions, you can make a lasting impression that turns potential clients into loyal ones. So, the second one I want to look at now is where I think you can make a difference in how potential clients perceive you in your practice, and that is in personalized communications. What do I mean by that? So, tailoring your communication to address individual needs and concerns can make a huge impact. So, imagine that you're a family lawyer and a potential client reaches out about a child custody issue. Instead of sending a generic response, you could say something like, Hi, so and so. Thank you for reaching out. I understand that child custody matters can be incredibly stressful, and I'm here to help you navigate this challenging time. Let's set up a consultation call to discuss your specific situation and how we can work towards the best outcome for both you and your child. Right? So you see how that's more tailored, more customized. So this kind of personalized message shows that you understand their unique situation and that you're ready to provide tailored support. So it's not just about addressing their legal needs, it's about showing empathy and understanding. So let's take a look now at some examples of personalized email templates and follow-up messages. So here's a follow-up email template that you may want to use, and you can say something like, "Hi, so and so. I want to thank you for meeting with me today. I appreciate you sharing the details of your situation. As discussed, here are the next steps that we can take to move forward." And then you list the steps. Please reach out if you have any questions or need further verification, and I look forward to working with you. So this email, what it does, this email script that I just read to you, what it does is it reinforces the key points from your meeting, and then it provides clear next steps, showing that you're organized and you're proactive. So those are really important things to demonstrate when you are, starting to work with a potential client. So, next, I want to talk about educational content. So, if you've been following along with this podcast, you know I'm really big on educational content. It is super, super important that we educate our audience first before they can buy from us. And so, once again, that's why the podcast is called Serve First, Sell Later. So, super, super important. Providing valuable content can keep clients engaged and it can help position you as an expert in your field. So, for example, if you're a divorce mediator, you could write a social media post on 5 tips for, a smooth mediation process. Or you could host a webinar on understanding the financial implications of divorce. Whatever it may be, just applying that in there is going to be super important. So, creating content that is specific to the pain points and concerns of your audience, that's what's deemed educational content. That's what's deemed important to them. So, think about how you can build that into your practice. And I think by providing this kind of educational content, you're not just keeping potential clients engaged, but you're also demonstrating your expertise and your willingness to help. Okay, I hope this is making sense. All right, so let's move on to regular check ins. So, regularly checking in with your clients can help maintain their interest and show that you're attentive to their needs. So, for example, after an initial consultation, you might schedule a follow up call a week later to see if they have any questions or need any further assistance. So, here are some key strategies for effective check ins. So, for one thing, you want to always schedule in follow ups when the potential client is interested in doing so. So, after your initial meeting, or actually during the initial meeting, if there is some required follow up, you should be scheduling your next follow up meeting in that call, right? So that you can confirm a date on their calendar. You're not going back and forth after the call to figure out the best time. You're doing it in the meeting. So you should never close a meeting without scheduling a follow up if a follow up is merited. Okay. If a follow up isn't merited, obviously you're not going to schedule one. But if you think that it could be, then you should get the person to agree to a date in that call. The second effective check in strategy are monthly newsletters. So when you send out a monthly newsletter or maybe a weekly or monthly email with updates, tips, and relevant news, what you're doing is you're staying in touch with them and you're making them aware of what's going on in the industry. So that's another moment of checking in with these potential clients. So they haven't forgotten about you yet because you're still in contact with them. And then the next one is personalized messages. So if you know a client is going through a particularly difficult time, a simple message like, "Hi, so and so, I hope you're doing well. Just wanted to check in and see how you're holding up." And that could go a long way. You can do that via email, you could do it via text, you can do it through direct message on the social media platforms. So those are different ways that you can keep the check ins moving along. So the timing is all obviously crucial for these check ins. If it's too frequent, you might come off as overbearing. If it's too infrequent, then you risk losing their interest. So you've got to find the right balance. So, maintaining client engagement is all about personalized communication, providing valuable educational content, and regular check ins. And so, by implementing these techniques, you can keep your potential clients engaged and build stronger, more trusting relationships. So, the next one I want to talk about is the importance of timely follow up. So, imagine you're a potential client who just had an initial meeting with a lawyer or a mediator, and you're feeling really anxious. You are uncertain about your next steps. And if you don't hear back from them promptly, you might start to feel neglected or unimportant. So, on the other hand, a quick follow up can make you feel more valued and reassured. So the question is, how do you ensure that you are following up promptly, right? How do we do that? The more ideal prospects you have in your pipeline, the more challenging it becomes to follow up and keep the conversation going. You lose track very easily. So, how do we ensure that you're doing the follow up promptly and tracking it all? So the first thing you can do is, set reminders, use your calendar or a task management app to set reminders for the follow-up activity. So for example, if you had a consultation call today, set a reminder to send a follow-up email tomorrow or next week or whenever the time frame is that you're going to be following up with them. Or if you booked meetings with people through a Calendly app, for example, so let's say somebody booked a meeting with you through your Calendly link, you can automatically send out follow-up messages that the app will send out on your behalf, and you just got to customize it, but that's a way to automate. The second thing you can do is just track your tasks. So keep a list of follow-up tasks and check them off as you go along, and that will keep you organized. In order for it to work really well, you do need some kind of CRM system, and that's a customer relationship management tool. So having a structured system can make your follow-up process so much more efficient and effective. So really finding the right CRM tool is going to be important. And especially as you start to have, as I mentioned, more and more of these conversations, you will start to lose track. So that's why you need a structured tool in place. And I think that these tools can help you keep track of your interactions with potential clients and help you automate some of the follow-up tasks. So, in terms of an overview of how to create a structured follow up system, so let's talk about the CRM tool. So, first off, you're going to choose your CRM tool of choice, right? And there's so many out there, things like HubSpot, Trello, Salesforce. I mean, there are new ones coming out on the daily. So really do your research, figure out which tool is best for you, and maybe the company that you work for has a CRM tool already in place. So you want to choose your CRM tool of choice. The second thing you want to do is you want to set up your CRM if it isn't already for you. So input your client information and interactions. And for example, after an initial consultation, go in and log in the details of the meeting and set up a follow-up task for the next conversation. You want to automate the follow-ups. So that's the beauty of many of these CRM tools is you can automate the follow-up and the emails. So for instance, setting up an automated email to be sent a day after a consultation call, thanking the client for their time and outlining the next steps. That's really a great way to do that. But I think it's important to remember that automation doesn't mean losing the personal touch. Just make sure your automated messages are personalized and relevant. Now, it's really important to address a very common challenge here, and that is the handling of no responses. So, what do I mean by that? It can be frustrating when a potential client doesn't respond to your follow up efforts, they're ghosting you. And all I can say is don't give up just yet. Okay. Here are some techniques for dealing with this situation because it's super important to ensure that you are doing the follow up. Listen, people get busy, life gets busy, things happen, and you're not always top of mind for these people. So, making it easier by continuing to do the follow up. So, the first thing you can do is you can send a gentle reminder, just plain and simple. As I mentioned, people get busy, they forget, and you can say, "Hi, so and so, I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to follow up on our previous email to see if you have any questions or need further information." And then you can add another tidbit of information that you know is important to them. You may not get a response to that. Then you're going to go in with a second touch, which could be, adding that additional value and to get them more engaged. And that's where you can customize it even more and just say, I wanted to share this guide with you on this topic that might be helpful for your situation that we discussed at length. So, is this something that you find valuable? Do you have any questions with respect to this? Please let me know. So, it's really just going in a level deeper and providing them with some really customized information. It could even be a fact or a statistic that, could really get their attention. And I think finally, it's important to talk about re-engaging those leads that have really just gone cold. So sometimes potential clients might lose interest or decide to put things on hold because we know that can happen a lot depending on what's happening in their life and their workspace. So here are some strategies to bring them back. You can do check-ins, right? So schedule check-ins to stay on their radar. That's important to do. And, you can also share updates, keep them informed about any relevant updates or changes in your industry or field, something that could impact them, and let them know, hey, I was thinking about you because this could impact your situation or whatever it may be. So, effective follow up is all about being timely, organized, and of course, persistent, but persistent in a way that's professional and adds value, always adding value. And I think by setting reminders, using a structured follow up system, and handling no responses with care, you can turn these potential clients into loyal ones, right? And that's super important. So now I want to talk a little bit about identifying readiness. So, how do you know when an ideal prospect is ready to become a client, right? So, here are some signs to look for. So, one is increased engagement. So, what do I mean by that? If a potential client is asking more detailed questions or requesting additional information, that's a really good sign. Okay. That demonstrates interest. So, for example, if they're asking about your specific experience with a case or cases similar to theirs, they're likely getting serious about moving forward. Okay. The second thing is a sense of urgency. So if a client or a prospect starts talking about timelines or expressing a need to act quickly, they're probably ready to commit. So they could say something like, so let's take the example of a potential divorce client that says, I need to file papers within the next month. That's a clear sign of readiness that they're ready to go. Okay. If they want to discuss real specifics, so for example, if they start asking about your fees, about your availability, or your process details, they're likely close to making a decision, right? Because people don't ask those questions unless they're getting closer. So, for example, a question like, how soon could we start if I decide to work with you? Like, when's the earliest availability you could take me on as a client, right? That's a really strong indicator of readiness. Making sense? Okay. So, how can you use your engagement and follow up interactions to gauge this readiness? And I think it's really paying attention to the tone and content of their responses. Are they becoming more open about their situation? Are they responding more quickly to your messages? And these can all be signs that they're getting ready to make a decision. So once you've identified that a lead is ready, it's really time to focus in on effective proposal and closing techniques. So, crafting a compelling proposal is crucial. And here are some important tips. So, you want to personalize your proposal. In other words, customize it. Show that you understand their unique situation. So, for example, based on our discussions about your child custody concerns, I've outlined a strategy that addresses your specific needs. And then you're attaching a proposal or you're including a proposal in there that's very specific. You want to highlight your value as a professional. Clearly explain how your services will benefit them. So, for instance, my experience in mediation can help you reach a fair agreement while minimizing conflict and legal fees. I'm very confident that we can help you in this situation. You want to be clear, you want to be concise, and you want to, at all costs, avoid any kind of jargon, legal jargon, financial jargon, whatever it is. Put it in plain English and always explain things in simple terms. So you have to remember that your potential client needs to fully understand what you're offering. And if it's in any complex terminology, if you're not being clear about what you're saying or what it means, you're going to lose them. So, this is why communication is paramount. All right, so let's talk about closing strategies. So, the key here is to guide the potential client to making a decision, whether it's a yes or a no. You want to guide them to a decision without being pushy. So, here are some effective techniques. So, you want to offer a clear next step. So, for example, if you're ready to move forward, our next step would be to schedule an in depth strategy session. And, how does next Tuesday at 2 p.m. work for you? And you want to use assumptive language. And why do you want to use that type of language? Because you want to assume that they're ready to move forward. So instead of asking if they want to proceed, you can assume that they would want to, unless they tell you otherwise, but in a way that, is not overbearing. So, for example, you can soften the language and you can say something like, if and when we start working together, our very first priority will be to do X. Okay. See how that's a softer way of saying that. You want to create a sense of urgency, but without being pushy, right? So you highlight the benefits of acting soon. So you could say something like, if we file your paperwork this week, we can get ahead of the typical holiday season backlog in the courts. So you're not saying you have to start at this time frame, but you're trying to tell them, listen, if you start any later, then we could run into some problems. So giving them some structure around timelines is always helpful. And of course, even with these strategies, you might encounter objections, right? And so you need to be able to work with those objections, and that's always by addressing them head on. So you want to listen actively. What is their concern? You want to acknowledge and empathize with them to the issues that they're facing. And you want to be able to provide them with the solutions by addressing their concerns directly. And always, when possible, offer alternatives. Provide them with options. So, like if your full service package that you're offering isn't in their budget right now, offer them a limited scope representation of some kind that can help them take the next step. Okay, I hope this is making sense. So, I think it's important to remember that the goal here is to help your potential client feel comfortable and confident in their decision to work with you. And so by addressing their concerns thoughtfully and professionally, you're continuing to build trust and demonstrate your value. And I think converting leads into clients is really all about recognizing when they're ready and presenting a compelling proposal to guide them through the decision making process with confidence and care. And I think when you master these techniques, you're well on your way to growing your client base and really building a thriving practice. And we love helping our clients do that. I mean, it's so rewarding to be able to see them do this. And so I think a very important element of growing a practice is to make sure that there's structure. And this is such an important element of growing a practice. And yet, very little structure is created around converting leads. And if you don't have a structure around how to convert these leads, what happens is it ends up costing professionals several thousands of dollars every year. And I see it all the time. And it's such a simple fix. And yet many professionals are missing this step. So I want to leave you with a final thought and a clear action plan. So we've explored the importance of client engagement and follow up, and now it's time to put these strategies into action. So, first and foremost, remember that your clients are not just another case or file. They're really individuals facing significant life or work challenges. And I think by showing empathy, understanding, and genuine care, you're not just offering a service, you're building a relationship. And trust me when I say that that can have a profound impact on their lives. So here's a quick action plan I want to leave you with for the week ahead. So set personal goals. Take some time to reflect on your current client engagement practices. I want you to identify just one area where you can improve, whether it's being more responsive, offering more personalized communication, or providing educational content that adds value. Set a clear, achievable goal for yourself and commit to it. The second thing I want you to do is implement just one new strategy. So choose one of the strategies we've discussed today, whether it's as simple as setting up a CRM system, maybe it's crafting a personalized email template, or it's scheduling those regular check ins that I just talked about. Put it into your routine. Start small and gradually build on your success. And the third thing that I think is really important to do is to engage with intent. So make a conscious effort to engage with your potential clients meaningfully. Ask yourself, how can I make this interaction memorable and more valuable? Okay. You want to always follow up with purpose, right? Don't let potential clients slip through the cracks. Use tools like reminders and automations to ensure those timely follow ups. So I want you to put that into your action plan this week as well. And then lastly, I want you to reevaluate and adjust. So at the end of the week, take a moment to review your progress. What's working? What needs adjustment? And this continuous improvement is the key to mastering client engagement and that follow up technique that we've been talking about. So please go out there and make those meaningful connections, serve first, and you'll find that selling will naturally follow. I believe in you and I'm excited to hear about your successes. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to check out episode 26, where I do a deeper dive into mastering the art of follow ups. And you'll find the link to that in the show notes. And of course, if you found today's content valuable, make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. I'd be honored if you rate or review our show as well. Thanks for joining in and see you in the next episode.